If you were in a foreign country and you knew from a reputable source that this country was inevitably going to be nuked into oblivion at some point, would you focus on trying to fix all the problems of this country and trying to make it a good place to live? Or more so, trying to get everybody out of there? So I've been involved in politics for a large portion of my life. From the time I was very young to the time I was about 14, my dad was the local chairman of the board for a major political party. I won't mention which one, as I think it's irrelevant to the video and distracts from the point. So anyways, throughout my childhood, I've been involved in countless parades and political events. I've heard countless political speeches and many hours staffing an office during the election season. All this to say, I've had a lot of exposure to the political arena. Over the course of the 2020 election, I, like many others, have felt the constant pressure of the tension between political viewpoints. Even within my own family, there was a 3 or 4 way split of who we voted for president. After putting that season in the rearview mirror, I look back on it now and realize that it wasn't healthy for me. With all the focus on politicians and agendas and viewpoints and debates, it's easy to be distracted from what really matters. I would go so far as to say that this whole experience was a distraction from my faith. So part of the point in making this video is to renounce that way of life for me. So after that experience, I resolved not to focus on politics in the future. I don't want to be distracted by that, and if I need to decide not to vote again to achieve that, then so be it. So I put that behind me and was at peace with that decision. Recently, however, I heard a sermon that brought all these thoughts back. So the sermon started off talking about what our relationship with the government should be as Christians. Near the end of the sermon, however, the preacher made this remark, and I quote, "We're fools if we think we don't have to be involved in politics. We can make a difference. It's inconceivable that God would ordain governments and expect his people to stay out of it. It's our duty, our Christian duty, to get informed and then do something." So while this statement may sound extreme, it seems like many Christians on both sides of the political spectrum share this belief. I think it's time for me to face this idea head on and share why I think it's partly flawed. The first point that I want to make is that we as Christians are not called to fix this earth. Rather, we are called to make disciples. As Jesus said, "Go into all the world and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And surely I will be with you, even to the very end of the age." Now, nowhere in there does it say anything about trying to make a more godly government or fix our politics. As far as I'm aware, Jesus doesn't tell us to fix our government, and nowhere in the early church is there an example, as far as I'm aware of believers being politically involved. In fact, one of the big controversies that surrounded Jesus was that he refused to take the part that of a political leader, instead chose humility, even to the point of being put to death on the cross. So my second point is, what would we hope to gain anyways in being involved in politics? Would we hope to gain a good life, a prosperous country, or a church free from persecution? While these things may seem good at face value, are they hindering or helping us in our mission put in place by Jesus? While prosperity is nice, does it help or hinder us in sharing the gospel? I honestly don't know the answer to that question, but I honestly don't see a lot of evidence saying that it does help us. Well, being free from persecution is nice. Does it help us in sharing the gospel? Again, I don't know the answer to that, but I do see more evidence pointing to the fact that persecution aids the sharing of the gospel than hinders it. It does say that we are supposed to rejoice in persecution, and I know it's circumstantial, but if you look throughout history, the church has seen tremendous growth when it's persecuted. What it all comes down to, though, is this question. Is trying to influence the government come from a place of worldly desire or of trying to please God? It could be either, and I think it's up for each person to decide where that line is. For me, I believe something like speaking out against abortion is being the salt and light, like we are called to do. However, if you are wanting to be involved in politics, so you could leave a better country for your children and grandchildren, where does that desire come from? So this all brings me back to my opening question. So if you were visiting a foreign country that you knew was inevitably going to be nuked into oblivion, would you focus on trying to fix all the problems that country had? Or would you focus on trying to get people out of there? This is how it is on Earth. Earth is this foreign country. This is not our home. There's no point in trying to fix all the politics of this world, because no matter how good we make it or how bad it is, either way, it's going to be destroyed. When this happens, do we want to look back on our life and know that we really made a difference on this earth? We really changed the world? Or do we want to look back on this life and know that we influenced the hearts and souls of many people? For what good is it if a man gains the whole world but loses his soul?